Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the country that has miles, that has Fahrenheit, that has great pizza. We have cheeseburgers. Welcome to New York City. Let's get into the recon. Now we are back for another week of the Zwift Racing League, and this week in round 2 we will be facing our first scratch race of the season. Now after an interesting team time trial and then a great points race, we are now in New York City for the Mighty Metropolitan route, which honestly isn't as bad as it may sound. This route is only 20.5 kilometers long and it has a total of 310 meters of climbing. Now it does seem like a lot of climbing, but after doing the recon ride, I was kind of surprised that it didn't feel that bad. Now let's get into power-ups right now on the WTR website as of recording. There's again not going to be any randomness to these power-ups, and we're going to be getting my notes right? The anvil? Yeah, I guess that's right. We're going to be getting 100% anvils, which there's only one banner as well. So you're going to have to make it count. And I'm going to say it right now, right here. It's going to be a breakaway stage. Now for the bike choice, we are going Italian with the Pinarello Dogma F, the new one, the 2024 version, with, yeah, you guessed it, DT Swiss wheels. If you aren't rocking the discs, you aren't racing right. Yeah, that's what I said. Now, any bike on this list that shows up is top tier. If you even want to consider the Tron bike, it is only 3 seconds slower across this entire route. So honestly, it doesn't really matter. So honestly, it's still a great option. Now remember that the anvil is going to be our only power up during this race, and we're only going one banner. So one total power up throughout the entire race. So you're going to want to use this anvil very strategically, or just to hang on. Now the first 3.1 kilometers of this race, there really isn't anything crazy. You have a subtle 1 to 2% incline, but that's really about it. It's going to be mostly descents. Now at the 3.3 kilometer mark, there is going to be an uncategorized climb that is going to take us from the ground of Central Park into the sky of New York City. Now this uncategorized climb has a total of 50 meters of climbing, but you're not going to want to use too much energy. Now those 50 meters of climbing are going to be quite fast. I think people are going to be itching to get up and over and continue on into this race. But I'm going to warn you, if you can keep your legs fresh, you can definitely go for a win in this stage. Now there's going to be a lot of these kind of punchy little climbs in this race. At 4.6 kilometers, you're going to have a peak of 11%, so make sure you get up and over it, and like I'm going to say a million times, try to keep those legs fresh. Now as we continue into the race and we pass through one of the terminals here for the trains, remember, don't stare directly into the rat's eyes. They will haunt you forever and your legs will die. Now at this point, there's going to be some more small climbs between a 6% and then an 8%. And can you guess what I'm going to say? Keep your legs fresh for the KOM. That's what you're going to have to do. Now I do think a group is going to try and come off the front during these two little gradients. Do not chase. There's going to be enough time going into the KOM and enough descents and a small little climb beforehand where you will be able to catch that front group. Now for the next kilometer or so, it's going to be quite easy, and then you're going to have a descent into a 7% climb, which again, you're going to just fly right over. We're going to hit some more descents, some more small climbs, and then at 8.6, it gets real. We are going to be starting the New York City KOM. Now, just remember that there are multiple parts of this KOM. Now, I'm going to consider this the pre-climb, the pre-KOM, basically. It's going to be a 15%, flatten out to a 4%, and then goes back into a peak of 13%. eventually getting to the top where it is completely flat. Now this is not categorized as the reverse KOM, but it is part of the regular KOM that we will not be doing. Now during this pre-climb, I would totally recommend sticking with that front group if you can. Don't overdo it, but make sure you're in that front group. You're going to want to be able to draft behind some people going into this reverse KOM. This KOM officially starts at 9.1 kilometers into the race and is quite punchy and short. A total of 1.1 kilometers long and an average gradient of 5.9%. I personally like to categorize this climb into 3 different parts. You're going to have the first part, which is going to be the easy part that peaks up at about an average of 8%. You have the middle part that's going to peak up at 10% and stay about that way for middle. And then the third part is going to peak up at 15%. And this is where you're going to want to make sure you have all of your energy in. I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to push very quickly into this KOM and not have enough energy and legs to get over that 15%. So if there's people off the front early in this KOM, don't worry. You can definitely claw back during the second half of this KOM. Now once you get to the top of this KOM, you are going to be hitting the only banner and the only spot for a power-up of the anvil. Now I do recommend keeping the power down and not using the anvil right away. There's going to be a bunch of riders that get to that banner, push towards the descent, and just hits the power-up button. This is something that I think if you keep the power down during that first part of the descent, you can easily get a draft of the people that you use the anvil and stay up to speed with them without using your power up. Now I do believe if you are falling off the back, go for it. Hit the anvil, keep up with these guys, and make sure that you are in this first group, or try to catch up to that front group. Now for the people that want to go for a race win here, I think you have 3 options. The first option is the extra long breakaway that is probably 99.9% not going to happen. It's just something that I think, hey, it possibly could, so keep your eyes out for it. The second part of this descent is longer than the first, so what you're gonna do is stick with the people that use the anvil in the first part of the descent, and then hit your anvil and fly down that and see if you can get a breakaway towards the end. Now there's a lot of kilometers left, there's a lot of climbing left. I don't think this is going to be a huge problem, but just be aware that people might be pushing the pace at this point. Now for breakaway option number 2, I'm going to be saying that it starts around the 14.5 kilometer mark. There's going to be a decent descent going into a small 7% gradient climb. Now at this point, I think you could really push the power, get up over this hill, and then use your anvil power up. Once you get to the bottom, there's going to be a little hill that peaks up to 8%, and if you've raced on New York, you know the hill that I'm talking about. This is stationed at 15.8 kilometers into the race, and then the second you fly up and over that, instead of struggling, you only have 4.2 kilometers left, and if you can keep that power down, keep the rest of the peloton away from you, look at that, you've got a victory on your hands. Now I do believe this probably won't happen again, just like the first option, but I want to put it out there if anyone does start to push the pace on you, this is what they have in mind. Now once you get up and over this part of the race, you've got about 50 more meters of climbing and another breakaway opportunity. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This is where your breakaway should begin. 17.7 kilometers into this race, you're gonna have 2 small little hills. Both are gonna be at about 4%, but you are going to have a sprint of your life up this. The second that you get up and over them, if you still have your anvil power up and you have a small gap to that peloton, you better watch out. You might have a big victory on your hands. After those 4% hills, you're going to want to hit your anvil button at the 18.1 kilometer mark. Now you have 2 kilometers left in this race and basically no climbing except for the ending of the race. This is where you're going to want to put in your biggest effort yet. Push yourself to the limit because you can totally win from this breakaway opportunity. The only thing left in this race for you to lose is the final 300 meters. This is another brutal finish that Zwift has crafted up their sleeve, and it is a peak of 9% climb into the finish. Now you also have to remember that the finish line is on a gradient. I think it's about 5%. So if you let up any power at the end of those 300 meters, you're going to lose positions. Now if you end up winning from a breakaway in this exact fashion, please tag me in the video, send it to me, whatever. I'd love to see it, and I truly think this is going to be a breakaway winner. Now that's going to be it for me for this New York City route recon on Zwift for the Zwift Racing League here in 2024. I hope you guys liked this video. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and come back next week for another team time trial recon. We're going to make it even better than before. And as always, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. It helps me out so much. And as always, I'm going to be putting the whole race recon right after this part. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week for a team time trial on triple flat loops.